What is up, everybody? Here we are. It's the start of the 2025-2026 NFL season. I'm just really excited for this season. I've got a video here today giving you my season predictions. This is going to be the NFC edition. Next video that's coming out is going to be the AFC edition. But yeah, I'm just really excited for this season. I don't think we have any clear-cut Super Bowl favorites. I think there's a bunch of teams that are really, really good. We probably have like 6 or 7 legitimate contenders this year, and I'm excited to watch this season unfold. I hope they all stay healthy, and we get to see just a really great run between a bunch of teams that I think all have a really great chance of making it and winning the Super Bowl this year. So anyways, we're going to jump into this video. I've got my predictions for the year, and yeah, let's hop right into it. So starting off right away with the NFC East, we've got the defending Super Bowl champion Eagles coming in at 13-4. The Eagles have one of the hardest schedules this year, and they definitely lost a couple key pieces last year, which is why this could be a little bit of an optimistic view for the Eagles this year. But at the end of the day, I think they are a really good football team. Their run game is elite. Their offensive line is the best in the NFL. Saquon Barkley and that O-line is honestly just not fair. The tush push with Hurts is just stupid at times. These guys are a really good football team. The Cowboys and Eagles kicked off Thursday night last night, and that was a pretty exciting game to watch, a lot closer than I expected, and it definitely raised some concerns with the Eagles secondary. That was my biggest worry for them, is the departure of Slay and Gardner Johnson. How are they going to make up for that? Quinyon Mitchell will definitely need to take a step up, and they're going to have DeJean playing all over the field. He's going to play a lot of nickel, he's going to play safety, corner. But how are they going to manage the departure of those two guys? I think that's going to take some time, and they're probably going to suffer just a little bit from it. They looked a little worse than I expected last night during that game. I didn't change my rankings whatsoever. I created these before the game, and I definitely am a little less confident in the Eagles after watching that, and a little more confident in the Cowboys. But I want to make this authentic, not change my rankings. So that's why I've got the Eagles. I think they're a really good team, and I'm excited to see what they've got this year. Got the Commanders coming in at 10-7. I think these guys are a legit football team. Last year they surprised a lot of people. They won a playoff game. I mean, these guys were really good last year. No one really expected them to be. Added Trent Brown and Connerly in the draft this offseason. And I mean, these guys are both going to really help them boost their offensive line. That was already, it wasn't bad. It was average last year, maybe a little bit better than. And I think they're going to have a good O-line this year, more protection for Jaden Daniels, and it's also going to help their run game improve this year as well. Krosky Merritt's really exciting, this late round draft pick who took over the job from Brian Robinson in camp and got him traded to the Niners. I know that's like a big storyline, super exciting, but let's not overreact. He's not a superstar. He's not going to completely change the Commanders' offense. They're still going to run through Jaden Daniels, Terry McLaurin, Debo Samuel, new addition there. But he is exciting, but let's not overreact. I do think their run game will be better, though. Next up, we've got the Cowboys. I've got them coming in at 7-10 this year. I am not confident in the Cowboys one bit. I think their defense is really going to suffer without Micah Parsons. The head coach hiring of Brian Schottenheimer was just a weird one to me. I didn't think he was a good coordinator. I honestly didn't even expect him to keep his job as a coordinator, let alone get promoted to head coach. So Jerry Jones is doing some weird things right now, but I'm not complaining. He gave us Micah Parsons. Go Pat, go. Pretty excited about that one. We'll get there in just a minute. But yeah, interesting hiring. That's the biggest reason why I'm pretty low on the Cowboys this year. I mean, they did add George Pickens, who I think is a stud. He's definitely going to be a really good asset for Dak to throw to. And an interesting statistic is in the last 5 years, Dak's really only been healthy for 3 full seasons. And all 3 of those seasons, the Cowboys finished with 12 wins. So that's definitely something to note. I don't think that's going to repeat this year, though. I think their defense is going to be much worse, and I think their coaching is going to be terrible, to be real honest with you. So I've got the Cowboys coming in at 7-10 this year. Next up, we've got the Giants coming in at 5-12. I like what the Giants are doing. I like them bringing in Jackson Dart. Malik Neighbors is a stud. Scadaboo's a good change of pace back to add with Tracy, and they've got a couple good pieces on defense, but this team just has so many holes in it, and they have the number 1 toughest schedule in the NFL this year. I don't know how they wound up with it. The NFL did them dirty, but they're going to have to run the gauntlet all season long, and I've got them only getting 5 wins out of that. I hope at some point They bring in Dart sooner than later because I just don't think they're going to compete this year. And I also think Neighbors is going to absolutely pop this year. He had Daniel Jones as his quarterback last year, who just struggles to throw the ball downfield. I think no matter who's playing QB for the Giants, whether it's Russell Wilson, Dart, or even Jameis, I think they're going to be better for him, especially with those deep balls. I think Neighbors is going to have a really, really big year. So that's the NFC East for you. Jumping into the next division, we've got the NFC West. So I have the Niners winning the division, coming in with a record of 11-6. And honestly, I'm not overly in love with the 49ers this year, but I will say one thing. As smart as any football analyst is, Las Vegas is smarter, the casinos are smarter, and they have 11.5 as the win total for the Niners this year. So there's something to be said about, listening to their perspective and following their takes. I've got the Niners at 11-6. They definitely have some health concerns already with the season starting. Ayuk's out for a while. Juwan Jennings has a calf injury. It looks like he's going to play on Sunday for the opener, but we'll see about that. And McCaffrey even, there are some reports of a lingering calf injury, and we know what that looked like last year for McCaffrey. So we'll see, how healthy he is. That's going to be the number one factor in their success this year is health and McCaffrey. But I do think they're going to be pretty good. The loss of Greenlaw and Hufanga to the Broncos is definitely going to hurt them. But I do think the Niners are going to be pretty good this season still. 11-6 is what I have coming in at. Next up, we've got the Rams coming in at 8-9. And similar to the Niners, health is the number one reason why I think they could or could not have a good season. Matt Stafford has some back concerns going into the season, and I like to be optimistic and not bank on injuries. I think he's going to be pretty banged up. I think he's already going in hurt. Their offensive line is really bad at pass protection, and that's not going to be a good recipe for an aging quarterback with a back injury that he's dealt with most of his career. If you look back to 2018, he played with a broken back for a bunch of the season. I think he had like a broken or fractured vertebrae or two or something crazy like that. Stafford is a tough dude. He's going to play. He's going to play through it. It's just a matter of what his performance looked like. And in 2018, it was atrocious. And honestly, I don't expect him to have a big year with that back injury and that bad offensive line. So I've got the Rams coming in at 8-9. Stafford is the number one factor there. But I do think the Davante Adams addition is going to make the number one PFF graded receiving core even better this season. I think he's an upgrade from Kupp. So anyways, next up, we've got the Cardinals also coming in at 8-9. And the bottom line for the Cardinals is consistency from Kyler Murray. At times, he looks like an all-pro QB, and there are times where he literally doesn't know how to throw the football. So I think it's just a matter of consistency for the Cardinals. They did get better this season, especially on defense. I like the additions of Josh Sweat and Dalvin Tomlinson on the D-line. Helps their run defense. I think rookie Will Johnson is a sneaky player. I think he actually could be pretty good for the Cardinals. Slid down because of some injury concerns and whatnot in the draft, but I think he's a good player. Still defensively, their linebacker core and secondary is definitely a little bit of their weakness. And ultimately, I don't have a ton of faith in the Cardinals this season. Next up, we got the Seahawks coming in at 7-10. I don't have a ton of confidence in the Seahawks this season either. And that is largely to do with their offensive line. It is so bad. Their offensive line is just atrocious. And last year it was equally as bad and riddled with injuries, which made it just so bad. So I think their O-line is going to be terrible. Darnold's going to be running for his life back there. And the other thing is, I don't think Sam Darnold is a very good QB. I think Kevin O'Connell, that system, Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison, in my opinion, the second best wide receiver duo in the NFL behind Chase and Higgins. He's just not going to have the same opportunities that he did in Minnesota last year, and I think Darnold is really going to struggle this year. Got the Seahawks coming in at 7-10. I think the only good thing they have going for him is their defense isn't that bad. Witherspoon is an elite QB. They added DeMarcus Lawrence, but to be real honest, I don't have a ton of faith in the Seahawks, and I wouldn't overreact about the Cooper Kupp signing. If you look at his reception perception profile over the last couple of years, there's a significant decline. And that's not unexpected, when players get up in age like that, but not a lot of confidence in the Seahawks this season. Going into the NFC North, my Packers are here, been a lifelong Packers fan, so it definitely hurts me to have the Lions winning this division at 11-6. I think this will be the most competitive and the best division in the NFL this year. It was really competitive last year. Great division, great football. The divisional games were really fun to watch. Except not always for the Packers though, because we definitely struggled in the division last year, which is why I have them finishing second to the Lions, losing that tiebreaker with division record. But going into the Lions just a little bit, they lost both coordinators this offseason, and I wouldn't overreact to that other than losing Ben Johnson as a play caller. They'll still be the same Lions. They're still going to have the same system. But Ben Johnson's an expert play caller, and losing that is really tough. They always seem to be on the right side of the fourth down plays, the close, important plays. He always had something schemed up that was, pretty sneaky and just right and tricked the defense. And that's definitely going to hurt the Lions and going to be a pretty good asset for the Bears this season. But they're starting the season off healthy. They were banged up all last year. I think the Lions are a really good football team. I just think it's going to be tough for them to rack up a pile of wins in the regular season facing such a tough schedule. Top five toughest schedule in the NFL. 6 division games here that are all going to be really tough. And that's going to be true for all these teams in this division. It's going to be hard for any of them to rack up a pile of wins just because of their schedules. But anyways, jumping into my Green Bay Packers, we just got Micah Parsons. It is going to take our defense to the next level. Rashawn Gary is a great pass rusher. He's going to get freed up on the other side of Parsons. Having those two dudes closing in on the edge is going to be absolutely dangerous. Going to create a little bit of an easier opportunity for our secondary to not have to cover for so long. We had a good pass rush last year, but it wasn't great. Parsons is going to make it great. There's no doubt about it. He's one of the best players in the entire NFL. And let's also recognize Jair Alexander departure, I think, is not something to overreact about. Everyone says the Packers corners are going to be so bad this year. And I agree, that is definitely the biggest weakness. But they performed still pretty well. They were an average secondary last year without Jair Alexander on the field. So Hobbs, I think, is an upgrade from Stokes. You give, Williams and Bullard another year, McKinney another year in our system. Nixon just getting more and more comfortable playing corner. He used to just be a special teams guy. So I think our secondary will be fine. It's not going to be great. It's going to be fine, though. Ultimately, the Packers season is going to come down to Jordan Love. Can he be great? We've seen flashes of it. We've also seen some pretty bad flashes. Last year, he had a groin injury that nagged him all season long. I think that actually was a really big factor in his performance last year. He didn't move well. He didn't leave the pocket. Play action wasn't nearly as much in the cards as it will be this year, and it has been in the past. So coming in healthy, despite that thumb injury to his left thumb, I don't think that's anything to worry about. It's not his throwing hand. It could affect handoffs a little bit, but it seemed to be a pretty minor kind of just clean it up type surgery here. So I wouldn't be concerned about that. But and then let's also not forget about Matthew Golden. First Packers receiver drafted in the first round in like 20 years or something like that. Maybe even like 22. I don't remember exactly. But just nuts. I couldn't believe it on draft day. I was so excited. Matthew Golden is an absolute stud. He is so fast. He's got great hands, great separation. He's going to definitely elevate this Packers offense big time this year. Going on to the Vikings. Similar to the Packers, I think the number one factor that's going to determine their season is quarterback play. What are we going to get from J.J. McCarthy? I think if he can just do as much as Sam Darnold did last year, these guys are going to be a really dangerous team. They've got one of the best defenses in the entire NFL, a pretty good, coaching staff. I think the Vikings are a solid football team. Just a matter of what J.J. can do at quarterback this season. He's never honestly been asked to win games. Going all the way back to Michigan, he was a game manager, in my opinion. They had a great running game, a great defense. They were always leading games by a ton. J.J. McCarthy very rarely had to go out there and throw the ball 40 times a game. And honestly, he's going to be throwing the ball probably 32, 33 times a game for the Vikings if they've got the ball in their hands a decent amount. Their run game is pretty solid. I think the addition of Mason's going to be actually really helpful. Kind of a sneaky good signing this free agency. Give Jones just a little bit, less workload. Keep him healthy. Mason's really good between the tackles. So yeah, Vikings are going to be good this year, but it's definitely going to depend on McCarthy's play at QB. And I'm not a huge believer in him. But I also said the same thing about Bo Nix. I didn't think Bo Nix was going to be an absolute stud. I didn't think he was going to be terrible. But I'll be honest, I didn't think he was going to be a stud. He went out and proved me wrong last year. So who knows? Maybe McCarthy does the same thing this year. But anyways, that's it for the Vikings coming in at 10-7. Next up, I've got the Chicago Bears coming in at 7-10, rounding out the division. And don't get me wrong, I have some confidence in the Bears. I think they're building something really special in Chicago, actually. They've got so many great weapons on offense. Ben Johnson, in my opinion, is, he hasn't even been a head coach yet, but is going to be one of the best head coaches in the league with his play calling and his creativity on offense. It's going to be fun to watch what he does with all those weapons. But at the end of the day, the Bears just have too many holes to compete with the other three teams in this division. They're getting there. They're building a team. Caleb Williams still has to go out and prove that he's a good NFL QB. Ultimately, I think the Bears are going to fall short of making the playoffs. I don't think they're going to be that great this year, specifically because they have 6 really tough games in the division. They also have a tough schedule despite that. I think they're going to do pretty good non-conference, but got them finishing at 7-10 this year. Next up, we've got the AFC South to round out the NFC. I've got the Buccaneers winning their division at 10-7. Then it's got Falcons, Panthers, Saints. I think a lot of people kind of expect that exact same format here. Buccaneers have an absolutely explosive offense. It's fun to watch them play. They have a lot of big plays and a lot of speed. Great hands with Mike Evans. That's a really fun offense to watch, and I'm very excited for Bucky Irving this season, getting a bigger snap share. They slowly increased that towards the end of last year. He was getting a lot more. He is going to be a stud this year, getting kind of more of a full RB1 instead of 1A workload this year. So I think Bucky Irving's going to have a monster year. Obviously, health concerns with the receivers is the number one thing to worry about. Godwin and McMillan are both out for a while. That's going to be tough. It's just going to make them a little bit thin. Receiving wise, at the top, I mean, they still have Mike Evans and Igbuka. I'm not saying this is a bad receiving core. It's still really good. But if all 4 of those guys were on the field, it would be elite. So just getting those guys back on the field, not starting slow, is going to be kind of the key. They got a new OC this year, which is going to take a little bit of getting used to, and those injuries. So they might start a little bit slow, but I've got them winning the division. Anyways, next up, I've got the Falcons, and I've got them coming in at 8-9, and this season's going to just be up to Michael Penix. I mean, their team is good. It's not great. It's got some holes. It's got some strengths. Their run game is elite. Their offensive line is really, really good, but they just had a couple tough injuries. Caleb McGarry going down for the season, and a couple other things on the offensive line going on that are going to be a little tough for them. But I still think they have an average offensive line even without those guys. So Bijan and Algier are just going to go crazy. They're going to have another big season, but it's going to be up to Penix. We saw some flashes last season when he looked pretty good. He throws the ball around. Man is going to huck it. I mean, we're going to see some big throws, some exciting plays. I just hope that the ball is getting caught by the Falcons and not the defense when he's going out there and hucking the ball. So I'm expecting a big year for Drake London. I think this is the best QB play he's ever had in his career. He's going to be a stud this year. I think Mooney as well is probably going to have a pretty good season. So Falcons coming in at 8-9. I also think their pass rush, which was just awful last year, is 3rd worst in the league last year, but they went out, they added Jalen Walker, and they added James Pierce Jr., both guys who I think are stud edge rushers coming out of college, but it will take them some time to get used to the speed of the NFL. Really, really good draft picks, though, in my opinion. Next up, we got the Carolina Panthers coming in at 6-11. Last year, surprisingly, their O-line was ranked 7th PFF. So, I mean, these guys are an okay team. They had a really good O-line last year. Their defense was kind of weak overall, especially missing Derek Brown a lot of the season last year. I think that really hurt their run defense. So getting him back is going to definitely help their defense. They've got some pieces here and there that's going to help them succeed. I think Tet McMillan's going to be a really good receiver. And Bryce Young started to show some promise towards the end of last season. So I think, that connection is going to be something to watch with Young and McMillan. But ultimately, they are so thin behind McMillan at receiver after trading away Thielen. Yes, they have Hunter Renfrow. Yes, they have Xavier Legette. Coker is injured. He's on IR. And I don't believe in Legette or Renfrow or anybody else that's in that receiver room. So ultimately, it's really just going to be Ted McMillan on offense for the receiving. Juba Hubbard should have a pretty decent year running the ball behind that O-line. They made a couple additions as well in the offseason. So I think these guys are going to be all right. I think they're building something in Carolina, but they got a long ways to go. Moving on to the New Orleans Saints. I have them at 4-13 this year, and honestly, I don't think there is much to be optimistic about with the Saints. Their team is just not good. I mean, they have holes all over the place. I guess you can be excited that Olave is healthy this year, hoping he doesn't, go out and get another concussion. I think that could, potentially even jeopardize his career if that were to happen. But these guys are a bad team. They were second worst against the run last year. They're going to be playing from behind a lot. Teams are going to run all over them this year. I think that's going to be the problem for them. Spencer Rattler's the starting QB. I don't think it matters if it's him or Tyler Shuck. I don't think either one of them will be good in my opinion. I was shocked to see Shuck get drafted as high as he did. He was all right in college, but I don't believe in him necessarily as an NFL QB. So honestly, their outlook is pretty rough heading into this season. I think it would be good for them to just punt the season, tank, go get one of the stars at the top of the draft this upcoming season, and just move on because they don't have much to look forward to this season. So anyways, that's what I've got for my NFC rankings, my predictions for the NFC. I hope you guys enjoy. Keep an eye out for the AFC video that will be dropping super soon. I'm going to post it pretty much right after this video that comes out, and then we are going to have our playoff video coming in right after that. That's just going to be a quick one summarizing these two videos and going through our playoffs and Super Bowl predictions. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed. I had a lot of fun doing this. We're going to have weekly pick'ems posted to the YouTube channel here all season long. I'm going to make my picks, post them. You guys can follow them. I've done really well in the past with pick'ems. So, take my advice if you want to, but I'm really excited to get going on this. And yeah, until next time, take it easy.